Have you ever looked at your list of projects knowing that one project could potentially jeopardize your business bottom line either this month or perhaps even this year? We have all been there inside project based businesses, and it is the cost of doing business for many organizations, but it doesn't have to be for you. Hi there, I'm Jennifer Glatz, project leadership coach and founder of ProCollab Consulting, and I want to welcome you to my project leadership masterclass on how to rescue projects that are hurting your business bottom line, even if it seems too late to rescue them. So instead of grinding away, trying to get to the end of that troubled project with the least amount of damage as possible, instead, I want to show you a practical way that you can get a troubled project back on track, even financially. Wouldn't that take some of the stress off you and your project team? So, after leading projects in industrial construction for over a decade, I have seen my fair share of troubled projects that really didn't go as planned. And let me know if you can relate to any of this. I was working on a project where we hired a subcontractor to build and deliver a component for our project. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the technical details of the component, but midway through the contract with this subcontractor, they started to miss some deadlines. We started to see some clues. And after asking some questions and digging a little bit deeper, we learned that they were going to miss their end delivery date, completely miss it. And the component it was on our critical path. So if that component was going to be late, of course, it was going to delay our construction schedule. So what did we do? We applied those usual typical tactics that we like to on projects that's in our toolkit, right? So we requested some more regular status meetings to get updates on what was going on inside their assembly line. Two, we requested some more transparency about really what was going on in their business. And we also even went to remind them of the penalties that were in their contract if they missed that deadline. Now, at the end of the day, they were still going to miss the deadline. So it didn't really matter what kind of pressure tactics or strategies that we were using at the time. At the end of the day, they were still going to miss. Can you relate to any of this? So I was really lucky because I had a project director who coached me through a step by step process, and it rescued our schedule. It inspired the framework that I'm going to share with you today. And I really hope that you're going to get tremendous value out of this so that you can install it inside your project based business too. Now, before we get to the framework, let's first talk about why do projects go off course? So, there are many different reasons. It could be some unexpected conditions. So, if you're doing a brownfield or a renovation type project, you go in and it wasn't exactly as you expected. There were some surprises when you started to break down the drywall or, put the shovel in the ground. There was some kind of unexpected condition that you didn't account for in your project scope, and that happens. It is such a common thing. Another reason why projects go off course is market changes. So we do our project financials, or our clients do their project financials based on a certain set of market conditions. When those change, of course, our projects can no longer be viable in certain situations. Customers, they change their minds, don't they? Sometimes midway through projects, they change what their preferences are or what the criteria are, and they inform us midway through, and that can certainly throw a wrench in things. I have seen cases where, of course, the subcontractor doesn't deliver on time, the story that I was telling you. or even an extreme where a project partner goes belly up, they go bankrupt, right? They fall off the map and they're no longer available. A common thing that we're really experiencing right now is inflation. So if the cost of lumber goes up 25%, 40%, 50%, we need to absorb that, or we need to figure out a plan for that. And of course, if we don't have the contingency or the plans in place, it can really throw off our project financials and even our schedule. Now, here's a common one that always throws us off course. When an employee quits, they always catch us off guard, don't they? So this happens, and this is, sometimes beyond our control, but it can certainly throw our projects off course as well, especially if it's a key individual on the project, a subject matter expert, or someone we really rely on to execute the project successfully. We've also been seeing a ton of natural disasters, floods, fires, things that completely destroy our work site. And we need to be agile enough to deal with these natural disasters and to know what to do when they do happen. So you can also insert your situation. What reason or what circumstance is causing your project to go off course right now? And as you think about that reason, I also want you to consider, what do all of these things have in common? That's right. Something has changed. Something's changed. And that something is probably beyond your control. Now, you can't control the market. You can't control the weather, of course. You can't control your customers and their choices and their schedules and their thoughts. And of course, you can't control your employees. And I know that this is disheartening for some leaders. I have certainly been there in my career too, where these changes that happen that are beyond our control, that throw things off course, it's stressful, it's disheartening. But I am here to tell you that despite our lack of control over these things that are changing, there absolutely is a way where you can protect the outcome of your projects, including your bottom line profitability. So the framework that I'm about to share with you, it works no matter what the changes, no matter what circumstances that you're experiencing on your projects. This framework will work for you. So I've hoped that I have piqued your curiosity. This masterclass is truly for project-based business leaders who either have a project that they need to rescue right now. So if that's you, if you are experiencing some trouble on a project, you need to rescue it, you need to get it back on track, you are absolutely in the right place. And also, this is for business leaders who also want the prevention side of things. So they want to avoid troubled projects in the future. So if that's you, welcome. You are absolutely in the right place as well. So my goal for this masterclass is to show you my project leaders rescue tool for any troubled project and how you can implement it inside your business today. And to maximize your success with this, let's set a goal together. Within the next, let's say, 24 hours, I encourage you to implement this tool inside your business. Have a conversation with your project leaders, introduce them to the framework, have a conversation about what makes the most sense in terms of how to install it inside your business that's going to work best for you, leveraging the tools that you already have. Does that sound good? Awesome. So let me introduce you to my project leaders change management framework. Implementing project change management can frankly feel like a circus sometimes, can't it? Some of my clients have expressed this, they've used this expression, and I can certainly relate. It feels chaotic. It feels complicated. It feels like no one really wants to deal with change because it's so uncomfortable and it's so disruptive to our day to day work. So, funny enough, the word circus became my acronym for this framework, which I hope is going to make it easier for you to remember. So, let's dive in. So, step one of my project leaders change management framework, the C stands for change. So step one is naming the change. So what condition, what event, what circumstance, what thing happened that is throwing your project off track? So we just want to name it here. It doesn't necessarily need to be long or complex. I'll give you a really quick example I've got up on the screen here. So my story from earlier, subcontractor X is behind schedule. So we can really keep it simple here. The trick is to name the change in a way that's going to make sense to your project team. Step two in the process is to quantify the impact of that change. And I really encourage you to go deep here. So, not only are you going to be looking at what is affecting the outcome of your project from a tangible perspective. What I mean by that is it affecting the budget, the schedule, the scope, the key project management things? But also, I encourage you to go deeper on the intangibles, the things that we can't necessarily measure, like is this affecting our relationship with our client? Or is this affecting our team and their stress level or what's going on with them? Do they have the capacity to adapt to this change or to do something differently because of this change? So we want to dive deep here, and I encourage you to seek as much input from your project team as necessary, as needed, to really understand what is going to be the true holistic impact of this change on your project. So, I'll give you a quick example. Going back to my subcontractor's story, what we did at the time was we looked at our schedule and we identified 1 week of float in there. Yay for float. That always helps. So the impact could be something like delivery of their scope is on our critical path. They're currently late. It could impact construction. It could impact our end schedule date, but we do have 1 week float in there that we need to investigate. So go ahead and connect with your team, figure out the impact of this change, and add some notes to be able to quantify it and have those discussions. All right, step three of the project leaders change management framework. The R stands for prepare your rescue plan. So, what is your next course of action? There are many different tools in our project leadership toolkit when it comes to rescue plans. We've got many different options, and this is a great place to really leverage your expertise inside your business on what is the best way to rescue this project. What is the most logical next step in the process? And I find it really helps to do a brainstorming session with the team, everyone involved, get their ideas, work off each other's ideas, because oftentimes we have an idea of what we think we should do, but the solution that's the most powerful is when we engage the rest of our team and figure out a plan with all of the heads, all the brains that we have available to us. So, when you're preparing your rescue plan, it may have several steps. It may have some different conditions that may change depending on the information that's coming into you. So, just as a quick example with my subcontractor, the first step perhaps would be, discuss with them. We have 1 week float in our schedule, just so you know. Is that doable? Is that sufficient? Can you recover what's going on with you within that 1 week period? Yes or no? And if yes, great. You've got your rescue plan. And if no, maybe we need to go to the next layer, the next step to figure out what to do next. So work with the team, come up with the ideas of what you think would be best for this step 3 of the process. Now, step 4, this is the most important step in the process, especially when it comes to rescuing a troubled project and getting it back on track. So the C stands for get your client on board. Whatever tool that you have been using for the first 3 steps in this process, whether that is a template that you've got in your business, or maybe it's your project management software, leverage that tool and bring that to your conversation with your client. I promise you, they are going to really appreciate the thoughtfulness and walking them through the same process that you're going through. They're going to appreciate and truly understand what's going on, and it's really going to build up your relationship with that client. So I encourage you to walk them through the first 3 steps. Name it, talk about the impact at a really deep level, maybe even get the client's input on what the impact might be on their end as well. And then talk about your rescue plan. So, this is your opportunity to do a couple of things. Number one, this is going to help you to demonstrate to your client that you are a trusted partner, that you are a trusted advisor, and you are truly keeping their best interest in mind in terms of the project outcomes. So it's going to be a relationship builder. Second, this is going to be an opportunity for you to update your project financials, to really get your budgets and your schedule and your plan back on track. Now, let me be honest with you. If you have troubled project that's really off course right now, this step 4, the conversation with your client, is going to take some humility and some ownership. I know that's not easy. It will require a real conversation with your client about the state of the project, what's been going on, what you think would be the best path forward, and what support you need from them. If you would like some help with navigating this conversation or conversations, I'd be happy to help you. But for this step 4, you want to inform your client about what the change is. Really get clear, not only for you, but for them, on the impact of the change. Explain the actions that you're taking. Be that trusted advisor for your client to say, this is what I think is going to be the best to get us back on track. And last but not least, before you leave this step, this is your golden opportunity to get them to sign off on your change orders, to approve additional budgets, schedule delays, or any other changes that you need to make to your project plan. So the outcome of this step 4 is ideally a signature that gets your whole project back on the straight and narrow where you want it to be. So it's a really powerful step in the process of getting your client aboard. So after you've got your client aboard, you've got your signatures and you've got your path forward, step 5 in the process, the U, is for update the team. So this is all about who needs to know. This is about circling back to your project team and informing them of what happened in your client discussion. So I've got a quick example up on the screen here for you. With my subcontractor example, it could be that we had a discussion on a certain date. They have given us notice to proceed. And we've also established that signed change order that you can also attach to any communications you're giving to your team. So it's a great way to wrap up the paperwork that you need from a legal side of things. It's a great way to give the green light to the team to move forward. And what's great about this is that you can leverage the project management software tools that you already have inside your project-based business right now to be able to do this. So whatever makes the most sense for you in terms of communicating, updating the team about the outcome of your client discussion. And last but not least, step 6. The S stands for start your plan in motion. So whatever tool you're using inside your business, the key with this one is to have your team record their own progress updates in the rescue plan as they go. This is a great opportunity to remove some of the stress from your shoulders if you're involved in the project, or remove some of the stress from your project leader's shoulders as well. So you want to leverage the people on your team, get them to do their individual updates on the rescue plan as you go. And then once that rescue plan is fully implemented, done, you've got things on track, you can also use your system to track its completion. So if you're using change management in a spreadsheet, great. Use that column to indicate complete. If you're using project management software, that's great too. And I've also popped up an example on the screen for you here where there's a way to mark, the topic or the change as complete as well. So do what makes the most sense for you. But the key here in this step is to really leverage your team and help them with the status updates of your rescue plan. And there you have it. That is my project leader's change management framework. So let's just quickly recap. So the acronym CIRCUS hopefully will help you remember this 6-step process. So step 1, the C stands for change. So name the change, give it a description, name it to tame it, as they say. Just name the change so that it's clear to your project team what change or circumstance that you are talking about and dealing with in the moment. The second step is to quantify the impact. So I really encourage you to dive deep here, dive into both the tangibles, the things we can measure, like scope, budget, and schedule, etc., but also the intangibles as well. So how is this change impacting your client relationship? How is it impacting your stress levels? How is it impacting your project leaders and your project team? So also measure the people side, the people impact side of the change and what you're going through. The R stands for rescue plan. So step 3 is to leverage your expertise inside the projects in your project-based business. Be an advocate, be a trusted advisor for your clients, and really prepare a rescue plan that's going to make the most sense for your project. And I also encourage you to connect with the team, do a brainstorm to really come up with the best solution to the problem that you're facing. Step 4, as I mentioned, the C stands for client, and this is where the gold is in terms of getting your troubled project back on track, especially when it comes to the financials. So if you can navigate this conversation with your client in a way that explains the situation, walks them through the process that you're using, getting their input on the impact on their side, and coming up with their input into the rescue plan, getting them aboard so that you can ultimately get their signature on the change order that you need to bring your project back on track, especially financially. So step 4 really is the golden step inside this framework. The U stands for update. So once you've got that change order approved and signed, you want to update the team. So that could be in the form of a conversation, that could be circulating the change notice to your team electronically. Really leverage the systems that you have in place right now inside your business to be able to update the team of who needs to know. And last but not least, the S stands for start. So start your plan in motion and leverage your teammates to do the status updates individually. So remove some of the stress and overwhelm from your project leaders or even from your shoulders by having your team participate in doing status updates on your rescue plan. So remember, there are things that happen on projects every single day that you can't control, right? But to avoid the circus, implement these 6 steps that I shared with you. You got this. And just so you know, this is one of many strategies that I have inside my project leader development method. Okay, so remember that we set a goal at the beginning? Let's talk about how to implement this inside your business today. So here's your project leader action plan. I invite you to implement this framework that I've shared with you on a troubled project or even on any project within the next 24 hours. Have a conversation with your project leaders about this tool. Walk them through the CIRCUS acronym and figure out a way to install it inside your business that's going to make the most sense for you and the unique conditions, the unique way that you deliver projects. Is that doable? And if you would like practical tools and my support to implement this framework in your business, either to help with a troubled project that needs to be rescued, or if you're looking to prevent troubled projects in the future, I've included a link below this video to book your project leadership development planning session with me as a next step. I truly hope that you received new value from this masterclass, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.